to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with a look at the Natural Bridge Formation in Barber County. Next, we'll hear a mysterious tale about the Atchison Ghost, followed by a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with a short history about cowboy boots. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good morning and welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center. You'll hear a lot of background noise, I guess, because there's always a lot going on. Try to find a quiet corner, but with the IHOP and all the folks stopping in, it might be hard to find a corner quiet enough to film in. Now, it's a pretty relaxing stop if you're on your travels and don't mind hearing the announcements in the background. So just a lot of people that love stopping here. And we're on the second floor where you've got the wildlife displays, and I love seeing the families come up here sharing those things with the kids. There's a lot of wow expressions when they come up here. Well, folks, as we just keep saying, time just keeps moving along, and there's just so many things going on. And the summer is, it's going to be gone before we know it. All that heat that we've whined about is soon going to be replaced by some chilly weather. So it's when I really love getting outdoors, and there's so much to do outdoors. And remember, Kansas Outdoors, the website. So check that out if you are looking for hiking opportunities and all those things along the way. Please check those out. So this is one of our sponsors for Around Kansas, and we appreciate them very much. And we invite you to come to Oakley and see all the other things that we've got going on here. This is a great place to start your trip, and then you can head anywhere in Western Kansas you want to go. South to Scott City, north to Oberlin, west to Wallace, west to Colby and Goodland. The roads will just take you anywhere. You know what? A couple of things that I wanted to mention. I was researching a wildlife segment, looking for something to talk about. And of course, all these big animals are pretty obvious. We've talked about a lot of these guys, the antelope and the elk and the deer, the bears that are making their way back into Kansas. And lately we've been talking about some of the little bitty creatures. And I'm working on a segment. I won't have it done today, but I am going to get it hopefully by next time, because who knew it would take so much research? And that's dragonflies. And wow, are they fascinating. So if you've got some cool dragonfly images, would you share those on our Around Kansas Facebook page? We would love to see those, and they might even show up on our post here on the TV show. So we'd love to see those. I got into researching. I'll give you this heads up right now. There are 22 different kinds of dragonflies and damselflies in Kansas. Who knew? And the variety is absolutely incredible. They're absolutely incredible. It's just like, remember that my favorite segment, I think, so far as the wildlife was those little kangaroo rats. Who knew they could be so fascinating? Well, dragonflies have been the subject of myth and art and stories for millennia. And you're going to find out why when I get that segment done next time. So much stuff coming up. Want to give you a heads up on this one. September 12th through the 15th, Dr. Jake and I are headed over to Colorado Springs for the annual Order of the Indian Wars Conference. And I tell you about that every year, but I can't tell you just how awesome that group is. visiting sites. This year we're going to Sand Creek, and of course the massacre site, and of course the connections between Kansas and Colorado. That was Colorado territory when the massacre occurred, and just years earlier it was Kansas territory. So again, those borders are kind of imaginary at times, and with certain events. So that's going to be a fantastic conference and tour, and just urge you to take advantage of so many of those things that are offered, the conferences, the guided tours, with especially the National Park Service historians, who are absolutely the best. I know Jerry Green is going to join us on this trip, and he's just the go-to guy on so many things. So just give you a heads up for that, and stay tuned. I will share more of that with you as time goes on. Another great show for you today. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
Well, one of the reasons I came to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center today, like I don't come every day, is I was thinking about Nick Apt, and of course he did that wonderful commercial for us here, and does so many videos promoting the scenic wonders of Kansas. And he had friends laugh at him, and so have I, when we talked about the scenic wonders of Kansas, people who've never seen those scenic wonders. And man, we've got a bunch in this neck of the woods, but we've got them all over the state. No matter where you are, there are scenic wonders to behold. So look on Nick's Facebook page, Scenic Kansas, and he will share some of these videos. This one I thought was really interesting for a lot of reasons. This is about the natural bridge near Sun City in Barber County. And that formation has collapsed. And if you recall, we did a segment on our friend John Charlton with Kansas Geological Survey. There's a great paper online that John, and I'm sorry, one of his friends wrote, co-authored, that tells you a lot of information about that geology and how it came to be created and then ultimately to collapse. But Nick's got some historic photos, and he's got some wonderful footage of what that area looks like. And so even though this huge natural bridge has collapsed, because this Earth is a changing planet, it's just always evolving, nothing stays the same. It may seem like these things are here forever, but it all is constantly changing. I recall being in a cave in Merrimack Caverns in Missouri, and it took thousands of years for this ledge to get an inch, even gain an inch, but it's always evolving. And so the Earth is a living, breathing thing, folks, and that's one reason I wanted to share this segment, because this is really evidence of that change that's going on around us all the time. So stop and take a look at this stuff. Research some of these scenic wonders. Take your kids to see these places. Even in its form now, this is a pretty incredible sight. So thanks, Nick, for making these wonderful films and allowing us to share them here. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Browsing through old newspapers can turn up some pretty interesting stories, especially appropriate for this time of year. Atchison, Kansas has capitalized on its ghostly inhabitants, and its haunted tours are sellouts around Halloween. Thousands of people flock to the city hoping to catch a glimpse of a real ghost. The Chamber of Commerce won't guarantee that spirits show up on every tour, but just maybe. Perhaps the most famous haunted site, the Sally House, has been the subject of television, movies, and a documentary. Stories like this one, from more than 100 years ago, may have helped build the city's haunted reputation. A man had lately died, the paper reported, and strange noises began to fill the house. Neighbors were sitting with the dead man's family in a half-basement room off the kitchen. A stairway led from this room. Suddenly, strange noises were heard coming from upstairs, from the room in which the man had died. There was a noise on the stairway, a noise of some object bumping from one side to another and descending. Then the door opened, and a man's head rolled into the room. The people sitting in the room fled in terror and cannot give much of a description of the head. Not surprisingly, the family stayed with neighbors and refused to go back into the house. The article concluded by saying, "Last night, 4 stout young men, armed, stayed in the house, intending to set up all night." We have not found a follow-up report. Perhaps those stout young men from 100 years ago are still there, waiting for a head to roll down the stairs.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
In 1806, an explorer named Zebulon Pike traveled through what became the eastern part of Kansas. And on September 12, he wrote in his journal, "Past very rough Flint Hills, my feet blistered and very sore." And with that, he gave our Flint Hills region its name. And he was right. You need to wear good boots out in these hills. This poem is titled The Kansas Flint Hills. A traveler leaves Kansas City, going west on interstate. He comes into a region which I want to celebrate. As he enters rolling rangeland, there's a sign his vision fills, a big sign of native stone, saying, "Welcome to the Flint Hills." The region takes its name from a long-ago hike, when described as Flint Hills by explorer Zebulon Pike. The stones of flint or chert, which underlie this great landscape, over centuries made the hills with their unique slope and shape. Those rocks made it unsuitable for use by farmers' plows, but they made a perfect place to harvest grass by grazing cows. These hills underlain by rock are a wondrous part of God's creation, a special part of Kansas, and a treasure for our nation. It's the last remaining tall grass, a key site of prairie ecology, the home of grazing bison and Native American history. The Flint Hills of Kansas are the world's best for grass. When it comes to raising beef, this region's world class. So we celebrate this region and the need that it fulfills for ecology and people in the Kansas Flint Hills. Happy trails.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if your cattle get out, you could be held liable for that? Call me. Let's have a discussion. 316-945-6733.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
A few years ago, Kansas had a fantastic exhibit about how Kansas gave Texas the boot, and it was all about the evolution of the cowboy boot. Now, of course, Texans like to claim credit for everything, but this is one where, by golly, yes ma'am, started right here in Kansas. Actually, our dear friend Jim Hollenbeck out toward Manhattan had a little bit to do with that exhibit. So let's look back at that exhibit and then a little more in teaching Texans a lesson about how Kansas gave them the boot.
Our source on this story is Kansapedia, that invaluable resource of the Kansas State Historical Society. Tradition credits Charles Heyer as one of the first to invent the cowboy boot. Company promotional materials state that a Colorado cowboy stopped by the Heyer shop on his way home from the Kansas City stockyards in 1875, requesting a new pair of boots that were different from his Civil War style boots. He wanted a boot with a pointed toe that could slide more easily into a stirrup, a high slanted heel that would hold a stirrup, and a high top with a scalloped front and back so he could get in and out of his boots more easily. Charles accepted the challenge. The unknown cowboy was so pleased with Heyer's work that he returned to Colorado and told others about his new boots. The brothers employed mostly immigrant craftsmen from Germany, Sweden, and Poland during the early years. They made cowboy boots for cattlemen, rodeo performers, and movie stars, such as Buffalo Bill Cody, Tom Mix, Will Rogers, and Gene Autry. To reach potential customers farther west and across the ocean, the company created mail-order catalogs with measuring charts. During World War I, the Heyers made boots for the officers at Fort Leavenworth and at Camp Funston. In 1961, governors from the 49 other states were outfitted with Heyer boots courtesy of Governor John Anderson. They were presented as part of the traditional exchange of gifts between governors during the annual Governors' Conference. Better opportunities for immigrants and a changing workforce meant that the Heyer Company had to adapt. As early as 1911, the Heyers lamented that fewer young people were entering shoemaking apprenticeships, which meant that they had to hire unskilled laborers and adjust the work accordingly. They were able to maintain the quality of their boots by having each worker complete one aspect of the boot-making process, as opposed to assembling a boot from start to finish. The strategy allowed the Heyer Boot Company to remain competitive for several years. In 1977, the Heyer name was sold to the Ben Miller Boot Company of El Paso, Texas. Despite the official end of approximately 100 years of bootmaking, the tradition continued at the Olathe Boot Company, which hired several former Heyer employees and purchased some of the Heyer equipment. The Olathe Boot Company was founded in 1975 and is still in operation. Today, many examples of Heyer products can be found in the Kansas Museum of History collection. In addition to Heyer boots and shoes, the collections also include patterns, last, and boot-making equipment, as well as photographs of the owners and employees.
That's it. Another great day on Around Kansas. I'll see you next week. I'm Deb Goodrich, and I will see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.